Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Hawe. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. And position disclosure, noted swings actually today, even though it was a pretty good day, just such a big run, and decided not to keep anything overnight, but plenty of good trades today, although the style of trading was buying high to sell higher. So let's talk about what happened, and we'll talk about what to expect for going forward. So after yesterday's candle, we talked a lot about pretty much what to look for a at least temporary bottom in this market. And the big So we were looking elsewhere away from the equity market, right? Like the bond market, credit, stuff like that. So we talked a lot about this TLT and then credit stuff like LQD. Some people like to look at like J&K or like an HYG too. But all the same, for the most part, the bond market is a leader. For obvious reasons, it's a much bigger market than the equity market. So we talked a lot about how these markets all bottomed at least a few days before the stock market did, back in June. And this was looking worse here. This was looking pretty bad. After yesterday, it was a day two down, starting to really break and go parabolic down, so gonna lead to a bounce soon. But just a day two down there for TLT. I guess LQD, a bit more than that. But in the midst of going parabolic, and usually when things go parabolic, they get a bit worse and a bit more extended than you really expect them to, and they overshoot a bit. That's just the nature of the fear of what's going on in the flow of money, right? They usually extends a bit and gets a bit worse before it gets better, and you get that bigger bounce. So we were really eyeing for capitulation type action to start happening pretty soon, and that was really our game plan, and we got real close to getting it today, real close. So we came in markets, so very early on, by the time we opened, we were pretty much green. But very early on, we were gapped down. Apple had some bad press overnight about their phone demand not being what they expected it to be. And we talked a lot, too, about this Apple yesterday, this 150, and how if this market isn't going to really capitulate and VIX is only going to go as high as like 34, 35, which we definitely did say too, it is a decent time to start nibbling, right? Just like nibble, but certainly be prepared if you're nibbling to buy lower. Certainly be prepared to buy lower in case we do start to capitulate in any type of way. But so if we're not going to capitulate, Apple's probably going to hold this 150. If we are going to, Apple's probably going to lose it in a fairly ugly way before it bounces back up. So we come in this morning, markets are gapping down very early on. This Apple's gapping down from bad news about their phone demand. TLT's gapping down, so rates are up. I know we hit 4% in the 10-year. I don't know if it was exactly 4% that we stopped at. But we were gapping down. Everything was not looking too good this morning early on. And then the Bank of England, so what happened today? Why did the market go up? The Bank of England comes to the rescue. They pretty much, to keep it simple, they pretty much went from QT to QE. And they're going to buy bonds. Their market is in chaos, and they're trying to cool that chaos off. So that was really it. You could almost argue that it's like kind of cheating, which it kind of is. But that's partially of what's fueled the bull market for the past 14 years. So, you can't really complain about it. Just, it is what it is. I mean, today was a good lesson, in my opinion, of you gotta be, flipping as a trader based on the information and the price action and just kind of what's in front of you. No matter what you think is going to happen or what you think should happen, whatever you might expect, if things change, if it's fundamentals, if it's levels that shouldn't break are breaking, you got to be able to flip and you got to be able to adapt. So if the Bank of England didn't do this today, I think we were on our way to kind of like a mini crash towards 350, even under 350, in which we've all been talking about being excited to buy. But Bank of England comes out, it's big news. The market is reacting in a big way. TLT totally reversed pre-market. Rates totally reversed pre-market. The dollar, reversed pre-market and sold off all day. And that really just ignited us for a big day one. So coming in pre-market, coming into the open, it looked like obviously we weren't going to get that capitulation because of the news. So we said, okay, today's a day where you're probably going to have to buy high to sell higher, which personally I don't love doing. But sometimes that's just how you got to do it. Otherwise, you're going to miss the move. So we talked about 364 and 366 for SPY, which both worked well. 364 chopped a bit. We had one fail at 366, and then once we were through that 366, which had been some prior resistance from days before here, once we were through this 366, it was really on, and it was just one of those big days where the VIX just trends down all day, SPY just trends up all day. You can't really try shorting it, besides like maybe at the end of the day, because you're just subject to a decaying VIX. So you get those like kind of automatic buyers coming in, stepping in. And yeah, so big day. Bank of England saves the market. That was looking pretty bad, which I was pretty excited about. But it is what it is, right? So Bank of England saved us today. We have a big day one. So now where do we go from here? I guess I'll talk about some trades that we looked at today too, because again, you had to buy high to sell higher today, but we definitely had trades lined up. So I really hope some of you guys caught something today. And if you didn't, feel free to ask questions or reach out or anything. But today was definitely possible to make yourself some money. So I hope you guys did. Definitely my focus off the open was Netflix. Just got another pretty solid upgrade. This Netflix has been getting good upgrades. And just back through this 230 level. 230 had been trying to be support, turned into resistance, fairly big level, just back up through it. Worked at first, came back down, low never broke though, and then consolidated, kind of wedged out here at this 230 level, and then just a huge day up for Netflix. But that was only really the biggest in play thing I was looking at. Everything else was kind of just more based on pure levels and just, okay, like here's the level. If we're gonna go up today, this is the level to buy through. So like Google 98, this Google had been trying to hold 100. 100 turned into resistance. This 98 turned into support. That 98 support broke back down. So like Google 98, we talked about buying up through. Amazon 115, right? This 115 resistance support back to being resistance. Amazon 115. XBI was up and had some relative strength based on BIIB news that came out last night. So this just XBI, just a pretty clear level here, 80. Was resistance, was support for a while, broke back down, came back up through it, was support for a while again, then finally broke back down. So just a pretty clear level there, just like XBI through 80. That worked decently. Oil was up this morning, so we were looking at oil names too, energy names. So like Oxy 60, which ended up triggering even before 60. You definitely could have gotten it. I think some of you guys were getting in on like this inside 5. If not this flag. And then even if you were late and waited till 60, the 60 didn't give you too much trouble here. The bar that broke 60 never broke there. So like Oxy decent today. So definitely some, I'm sure there were others, but definitely some good names today, some good plays. I was definitely a little bit annoyed by how this market has bounced, but it is what it is. Things come out, news comes out, you gotta flip and adjust. So it is what it is. I didn't keep anything because it was such a big day that we've pretty much just rallied into resistance here. So going forward, what's going to happen now? I'm not exactly sure, but here's what could happen. It's just a big day one. we consolidate low 370s and get pushed back down. If that's going to happen, it's probably going to be because this TLT reverses back down, the dollar reverses back up, so on and so forth. But the bullish scenario, which this is more looking like the bullish scenario, like now this is looking more like at 365, the next 15 is up to 380, not down to 350, because this was pretty big news. And again, big move in dollar, big move in rates. So if this is going to go to 380, it definitely could just go right there. Otherwise, we probably bull flag somewhere below 375 but above 370, and then have a next leg up to 380. The easier money definitely somewhat, I don't want to say gone, but just, looking for those bounces in that extension. Now our extension's gone, right? So now bulls have to build. So like, even though we had this year low here, we did have a pretty nice bounce off it, but it ended up needing a couple weeks to really build out before it turned into something bigger. So like, sure, we could have a nice move right up to 380, but probably not too much more than that, and they're going to take some time to build out. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to really talk about, but I mean, it was a big day. It's a big day on the back of kind of cheating the fair market, but that's just how it goes. That's what happens. So yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we'll see how they gap us. I wouldn't expect a big gap down or anything like that. If anything, you would think we start to get follow through. As much as it was like a squeeze up day, it was more just like shorts covering too. One thing to note is Apple did not close above 150, closed just below it, so not a terrible close, but it did close below 150, and every single time it lost 150 in this process of holding, it did not close below 150. So a good day off of bad news that literally would have been it was so interesting because Apple was gapping down and we were pretty much set to crash for the most part, honestly. But then Apple was saved by the market. So it was interesting for sure today. So we'll see with this Apple. Needs to get back above 150 though. And if this Apple can get back above 150, SPY is definitely looking like we can go to 380 or so. And then we'll have to adjust, but a big day one. If you got things from good prices today, I would encourage swinging some. If you have things from okay prices, I would probably encourage you to just take your money and then we'll reassess. Because again, even if we do go right up to 380, we should come back down to 375. But it's probably going to be more of a building out process here. I don't think we just shoot right up. So if we, again, if we build out, we flag, we base, you'll be able to buy things through bases or verse base lows. You'll be able to buy things on the way up again. So no need to have FOMO or anything like that. This still could end up getting worse before we get better. But for now, we have been saved. So I think that's all I got to talk about. And yeah, happy to answer any questions or anything like that about what happened today. If you don't really understand why, or if you struggled to flip, or again if you struggled to buy high to sell higher, which I mean it's not my favorite thing to do, that's for sure. I'm more of a fan of buying fear and buying when it's really ugly, which we were ugly. Don't get me wrong. Again, I mean VIX did go 34 or so. It was a not bad opportunity to nibble, but it really looked like it was going to get worse before it got better there, and it would have if not for what the Bank of England. But I mean, what are you going to buy and predict that a central bank's going to come in and make a move like that? That's not something to predict. So it is what it is. But even if you had to adjust and buy a little higher, still had a chance to make some money today. So yeah, happy to answer any questions or comments or anything like that you guys got. Just reading through your comments in the VTF here. Aaron says his game plan each day is to take each day without trying to overpredict or hope. Yeah, I mean, you make a game plan, you make a prediction, and the key to those game plans and predictions is your levels. You know, either buying versus a level or buying through a level. It's really what it comes down to. Yeah, I mean, you know, Netflix is on your radar today, you think Netflix is going to go up, you know your levels to buy through, gets above those levels, you know, easier said than done, but that's really kind of how you got to simplify it. Yeah, we'll see how this hurricane goes. Asked a huge trader friend. He said save the market for a few days, which, yeah, I agree. It definitely looks like that to be the case. What happens when done in 30 days? Good. Yeah, it is only for 30 days. That's true. I mean, we'll see. But for now, it's looking like yet another bear market rally without any capitulation. I don't think our Fed changes course, at least not yet. They're definitely not. I don't know why they would. If anything, this just gives them more fuel and more time to keep being aggressive, right? So. Just reading more chatter in the VTF. Hey Pat, what do you think about W Day on the 1 hour? Specifically on the 1 hour, interesting. So nice. I'm sure everything went up today for the most part, and everything has a nice day one. So nice day one off this 150 level. Specifically on the hourly, that's all hours. Specifically on the hourly, it looks bullish. It's a little bit extended, but it is bull flagging out on the hourly. On the 30, same thing, just a bit of a bull flag. I mean, that's pretty much what everything looks like. So it's a nice day one. 150 still your level. I would argue. I mean, you really wouldn't want to see it. This 154 was definitely a bit of a level. So I wouldn't really want to see it below 154 as a more aggressive bull. I wouldn't even want to see it below 155. I mean, it's bull flagging on the hourly, it's bull flagging on the 30. So getting back below 155 would be negating that bull flag. So that's what I think of it. I think it looks good, and I think you don't want to see it back below 155. Definitely not back below 154. PCE Friday morning, which if we did start to capitulate this week, we would have set up in a beautiful way for an up move on the PCE number. Now it's, you know, if we rally into the number at all, that doesn't really, not that we can't go up on it, but that doesn't set us up for an up move on PCE, so it takes that away too. But yeah, PCE Friday morning, 8:30. If futures are down, would you scalp some pre-market? It depends why they're down. Depends what rates and what fix and what the dollar looks like. Not necessarily. I mean, as much as we are closing above 370 and we are closing well, there is still a bear. I mean, we did get extended down there. Looks like we could get worse. We almost did without the Bank of England. But this is still technically a bear flag. So I don't know, Sharir. It depends if we're gapping down. It depends why we're down. But again, we could really... I mean, 366 was the level today to buy through besides 364. They made 364 tricky, though. We could go down really to 366 and still be bullish, even 368. So I don't think if we're if we're gapping down a little bit to 369, I don't think you really need to rush in and buy that per se. So it depends. Just because this market had a good day today doesn't mean it's going to not be tricky anymore. The trickiness is still going to be there. Netflix, very impressive that it didn't break the 80 MA on the 15. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure many of you, including myself, could have kept some Netflix today. Yeah, sick trend. So sick. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a bad job by me. Not doing a better job keeping Netflix. I close was ugly for what? SPY? That was not an ugly close. Definitely not an ugly close. An ugly close would have been like back to under 368. I would not say that was an ugly close. Only thing is Apple not closing above 150. Still a decent close there, but first time not closing above 150 in a while. You jumped in Tesla 14.35 when it broke 285, and then set $1 stop loss. Then it kicks me out and makes me miss the next 30 minutes. How should I improve? Sure. Good question. So you bought it 14.30. What is that, like 230, 285? So if you are buying through a level, yeah, good question. I mean, I talked about this before. So if you're buying through a level for momentum and you're using a tighter out because you're buying for momentum and like that is it's a momentum trade, it should, I mean, you got to know your risk reward, so you got to know what stock you're trading. But like a name like Tesla, risking $1 is definitely fair because Tesla can move many, many, many points. So you should be going for multiple points in Tesla. So I don't, that's why I say I don't hate using tighter outs on momentum trades, because the risk reward of the trade should be pretty good. Therefore, and here's the key to your question, therefore you should be able to try it multiple times, at least like 2 to 3 times. And if it doesn't work after 2, 3, 4 times, I mean, it starts to look like it's probably not going to work at all, right? But because your risk reward is good, you can try it 2 to 3 times and still end up getting paid on it. So I don't think there's anything you can improve here other than trying it through the level. I mean, maybe just seeing how it ran into the level. And I notice this often, like you see how the ADMA is curling up with it when it's breaking the level, as opposed to it kind of gets a little bit extended and runs into it. So maybe it could have waited because of that. But other than that, you try it, you risk $1, it pokes you out, it even maybe breaks the ADMA there, pokes you out. That's pretty annoying. But if a breakout level is failing, a failure means a failure, like a reversal back down. So you see this come down, but then you see it consolidate, build in front of the level, build, consolidate, and you try it again. That's the only thing you can really do there. And in hindsight, sometimes this will work, sometimes not, but the risk reward in your math should work out. You risk $1, you lose $1, you risk $1 again, and you get $4 in reward. So I don't think you did really anything wrong. I just think you just should have kept watching it, really. That happens a lot, right? Shakeouts happen a lot. I mean, how many times do you, and not by you, I just mean like everyone, including myself. It happens all the time. You buy a trade, it starts to work, and then you get shaken out, and then it ends up working, and you're mad because it worked without you. But like, think about it. You buy the trade because it goes through the level. You stop out because it goes back under the level. And then why does it work without you? It works without you because it went back up through the level. So you can't, you know, if you risk too much or you lost too much or you don't want to risk like a ton, like that's one thing. But if it goes back above the level, it's still it's still looking okay. Then it could be worth trying. And your risk rate, you shouldn't really be doing, unless you're doing like extension scalps and stuff. You shouldn't really be doing trades where you're kind of risking one to make one or something like that. You should be risking one, thinking you can get at least 2 to 3 x your reward. So yeah, I hope that helps. But that's the only thing I really think you could have done different, which is pretty much nothing except just seeing it come back down, seeing it not fail, seeing it come back up, build back up, and then just trying it again. That doesn't mean you should fight things and try things multiple times all the time, but could have been worth it there, I think. And I'm assuming, what time did it actually work? So it actually worked at 15, which is pretty much the exact time SPY went through 370, right? It lined up exactly with SPY, like, actually breaking out of this 370. So that was another thing, too. But yeah, hope that helps. And sometimes you're going to do that. You're going to try it 2 to 3 times and it's not going to work, and it's just not going to work. But also, if that happens, remember, if it doesn't work and it fails, a fail usually means it comes back down decently. So, if it comes back down, stops you out for another loss, you're probably annoyed. But then when you see it back at 283, 282, you're probably saying, oh, I'm glad I stopped out because the momentum I was looking for didn't come in, and you did the right thing. So Netflix 250 is definitely a big level. So maybe take half the size and go with a bigger stop. Well, it depends on the nature of the trade. I mean, it depends on the trade. If it's a real momentum trade and by the nature of that trade, it should go. I like to have the tighter stop because I like to get more size, and like momentum trades can pay well, so the risk reward makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you use less size and you have a bigger out, you need more space risk for the same reward. I see some YouTube questions. Pat, do you think today's TLT is strong because UK? Yes, that is everything, Robert. That's exactly why. Yep, that's exactly why. The Bank of England literally saved the market today. Did they save it in a bigger picture? I don't know. We'll see. But for now, the market is saved thanks to the Bank of England. Sebastian, hey Pat, today at 12:20, when the market was touching resistance, I decided to short ARC 39.44. It was breaking an intraday trend line 39.50 in the daily 80 main resistance. At the end, it didn't even touch VWAP and was a loser. Did I miss something? What do you think? I mean, I don't know what your entry price was here. If you had an okay price, I feel like you could have been able to cover some. But you didn't miss anything. All that, just the market broke resistance. This 370, 3,700 or so, this 370 has been resistance. And pretty much what ARK did is pretty much the same thing SPY did. It came up to resistance and then broke through resistance. We broke through 370. And that's why I was nervous about taking Q shorts in the end of the day here. Just because, again, these big one-day moves, when you get the VIX really just grinding lower and lower all day, you tend to, not really reverse randomly there. So I don't think you missed anything. Just 39.44. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're kind of late on that execution. Could have at least done the break of this bar's low or something. Yeah, so maybe you didn't get to cover any, but just nothing. What I just said, just the market came up to resistance, but it is the third time we've tested resistance, third or fourth time. So, we broke through resistance on the back of bigger forces at play with the dollar and rates and everything like that. So, don't think you missed anything. Just it flagged out and broke out of resistance. As opposed to failing at resistance, we flagged and broke out of resistance. Just, not a bad idea, just didn't work out. But definitely careful, too. When you see the VIX really just smoothly downtrending all day, just careful. Not that you can't put shorts on, but you just got to be really cute with it. You can't really be going for, full reversal moves when the VIX does what it did today. Cool. Anything else? Yeah, so I think Derek's back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure he's back in New York today. He's either back or on his way back today. I'm pretty sure he was flying this morning. I think Derek will be back tomorrow. Obviously, I'll still be here, but it's been a good couple. It's been 3 weeks now. It's been a good few weeks with you guys. Hopefully, I taught you a couple extra little tricks. Hopefully, you made some money with me. I feel like we did pretty well. We definitely had a lot of good morning plays, for sure. Hopefully I helped, and hopefully you guys made some money. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess. We'll see how they gap us, and we'll see you tomorrow. So have a good night, everybody. Definitely looking forward to having Derek back. But it's been good. It's been good. I like talking to you guys, so I definitely enjoyed it. But we'll see how they gap us, and we'll go from there. So have a good night, everybody.